Fallout 3 speedruns aren't the most flashy of runs. They usually orientate around the speedrunner in question moving from location A to location B, grabbing the bare minimum amount of items necessary and performing mostly out-of-bounds clips to navigate around specific areas, bypassing checkpoints and skipping quests entirely. There's a lot of walking in Fallout 3, with the average any % speedrun spending around half of its time outside in the wasteland, just running to specific locations. So any way of boosting that movement speed could go a very, very long way. Any trick or glitch that can move you faster would for sure benefit any Fallout 3 speedrunner. And that's exactly what happened. In the month of May 2015, a new movement glitch was found that could nearly double your movement speed. This is the story of the glitch that broke Fallout 3 speedrunning forever. When a game is released and a speedrunning scene is eventually formed around it, usually the runs tend to be glitchless for the most part, as speedrunners and glitch hunters alike try to tear apart the game at hand. Any neat glitches found in the game? Not yet. This is essentially a glitchless run. It won't stay glitchless for long though, there'll be glitches found. Fallout 3 at first had a speedrunning scene very similar to this, where for over 3 years, the game was ran almost identically to what you may perceive as a glitchless run. Not many tricks or glitches were found within the first 2 to 3 years of Fallout 3's existence. But that wouldn't last long. This all changed on September the 10th of the year 2013, when a runner by the name of CraftLab introduced the mechanic of clipping. Now unfortunately, CraftLab's Fallout 3 world record is no longer available. The YouTube video has been privatized or deleted, but I can explain the clipping concept to you very quickly. When you quick save quick load, the character model is always loaded in. The collision for the character and the other objects in the game is slowly loaded in around about 2 frames later. However, you can still move your character during those 2 frames, which allows you to gain momentum and move into objects before the collision is loaded, which lets you clip past walls and doors. As when the collision is loaded, the game wants to separate you and the object you're in, eventually spitting you out. If you're also wondering why the character doesn't just fall through the ground, the game actually solves this by loading a temporary platform under the character until the alternative collision is loaded in. I'm under-explaining this, but clipping was the first major glitch to be found in Fallout 3 and is still used everywhere in both New Vegas and Fallout 3 speedruns up until this day. By March 2015, the world record had been pushed down to an 1853 by Rydau. This was mostly due to how familiar the runners had become with the exploit of clipping and how they would utilize it to skip a majority of the main quest line of Fallout 3. For example, when in Little Lamplight and needing to break into Vault 87 to get the Gek, instead of gaining access the slow way by getting the children of Little Lamplight to like you and give you passage, you can just clip out of bounds and perform an air swim to gain entrance to the final doorway of the chamber, bypassing Little Lamplight and getting straight to Vault 87. A few more glitches like this and some really clean execution is what led to Rydau's 1853. It was considered at the time to be a pretty damn good world record with some minor time loss. He did lose around 5 seconds inside Vault 87 itself when grabbing the Gek, but overall this run was really good and was mostly just an impressive world record. And if it wasn't for the big discovery that would happen almost 2 months later, I'm pretty sure this record would have stood for a much longer time. Rydau was definitely the best any % runner at the time, and grew very familiar with the route and its execution. But that would all change in the middle of May 2015. One glitch would be discovered, purely by accident, that would honestly change the way Fallout 3 speedrunning would ever be done ever again, and would permanently plague new runners up until this day. So let's set the scene. Fallout 3 was having somewhat of a golden age. A lot of runners were running any %, all DLCs, all quests, and a niche little category called all bobbleheads. Now, if you don't know, bobbleheads are these little collectibles within Fallout 3 that represent various stats and special stats within the game itself. There is a total of 20 of them throughout the game, and the all bobbleheads category is, well, basically collecting all bobbleheads. A very unique category for anyone to run, and it was on this day, in the middle of May 2015, when a speedrunner by the name of Rexy was running all bobbleheads and had forgotten the Raven Rock bobblehead that is only obtainable during the exiting section of Raven Rock. A lot of you guys may know about this bobblehead because it's probably the bobblehead that you forgot to collect when you went to go get the achievement, and because you can't go back into Raven Rock after completing this quest, you probably had to restart the game. Well, Rexy was aware of this, and he turned back to go grab the bobblehead, but as soon as he did this, and left the presidential room, this happened.
This could be really stupid. Whoa, what? Holy shit. Did I find a new glitch? This could be something. If I found a glitch that speeds up walking like this, how did I do that?
So what just happened? How did Rexy get all this extra movement speed? As Rexy had jumped off the presidential walkway and tried to land on the ground below, they had quicksave quickloaded to avoid fall damage, but by doing so, had delayed the quicksave quickload accidentally and actually took the fall damage, crippling their legs. But because they quickloaded at the right time, the game actually applied both the cripple speed and the normal movement speed on top of each other, giving Rexy an overlapping movement speed of both normal movement speed and cripple movement speed, something that the speedrunning scene had never seen before. Unbeknownst to them, Rexy had just discovered a glitch known as Speedcripple. It didn't take the community long to figure out what had happened, and that same month, on the 18th of May 2015, Rideout, the speedrunner that I had mentioned before, had figured out how to replicate the Speedcripple glitch. Now, instead of running straight to Vault 87 in Little Lamplight, the player would toss themselves off the cliff right outside of Vault 101 to then perform Speedcripple and move on with the run. The next day, on the 19th of May, Rideout performed the Speedcripple glitch in a run and managed to get a 16:56, improving the past world record by just under 2 minutes. But this wasn't done here. Only 1 week later, on the 26th of May, Rideout had performed another world record, beating his time with a staggering 15:25. The Fallout 3 world record was being chopped apart and was slowly improving with the much faster speed tech. Speedcripple had arrived and changed the Fallout 3 scene, as the glitch itself became mandatory if you wanted to achieve the world record. But we haven't discussed what makes this trick so hated. See, Speedcripple can be obtained through a various amounts of methods. You can use gravity, mines, rocket launchers, or even just getting shot in the leg to get Speedcripple. But what makes this such a pain of a trick is that you have to get Speedcripple in this run through breaking your legs from fall damage, as the time it takes to buy a rocket or any other explosive is just too long to justify. Like mentioned before, jumping off of Vault 101's cliff is the fastest way to obtain Speedcripple, and this specific trick would be dubbed as CLIFFCRIPPLE from here on out. Now, CLIFFCRIPPLE isn't a 100% consistent strat. It's all about timing, and even if you hit the same frame window every try, you're not exactly guaranteed to get it. We as a community don't actually know or understand why, but for some people, running on a slower CPU can cause CLIFFCRIPPLE to be more consistent. For once, owning a bad PC could actually favor you in a Fallout speedrun. This could be placebo, or it could be a reality. Like I said, we don't actually know. All we know is that a majority of the community hates this trick, as it causes you to reset like 95% of your runs, meaning runners are unfortunately stuck in Vault 101 hell. Some runners have went 2 to 3 hours without even getting Speedcripple once. It's just that much of an inconsistent trick. And the worst part is, you have to go through Vault 101 all over again before you can leave and get one chance at getting Speedcripple before you lose too much time and have to reset. It was really demotivating towards Fallout 3 runners at the time, and it only got worse. Even as runners got faster and faster, the act of getting CLIFFCRIPPLE never really improved. But eventually, the Fallout 3 any% world record would exchange hands until today, where it stands in the hands of 2 runners, both LMW and Elongated Musket Gun. They both have the any% world record for Fallout 3 with a 14:15 respectively. Both these world records were performed this year, and the world record hunt seems to be fairly ongoing, but the one downside to a trick like CLIFFCRIPPLE is it does deter a lot of new runners from attempting Fallout 3 any%. So if I've got anything to say on this, if you want to run Fallout 3, don't go for CLIFFCRIPPLE at first. Use the missile launcher strat. It has a much better timing, it's much easier to learn, and it's way more forgiving for new runners. Now before I go, I just want to say that I really appreciate the support in the last week. The Good Springs video has done nothing but explode, and I'm really still struggling to deal with it. We surpassed 10k subs as well, which is really insane. And I better end this video before we hit 10 minutes, otherwise people will complain that I'm extending the video to hit the 10-minute mark for more revenue.